there's a constant battle of fighting for a spot that sometimes people just get to walk into. I don't really let it discourage me though, because I've met so many amazing men who have really made it their mission to uplift women.
Welcome back to Girl Crush Country, where we are obsessed with women in country music. I'm Jess Wright in Nashville, Tennessee, and we've got a rising indie artist this week who is already pulling up the next generation of artists behind her, even though she's really just getting started herself. Hey, Ava Claire.
Hi. So grateful to be here.
So you're a student at Belmont, right?
I am, yeah.
What are we studying?
Rising junior.
Okay.
Studying songwriting and minoring in music business.
I saw a video where you were trying to do Pro Tools and you were like, if you're my professor, no, you're not.
Yes. I was in the studio for 5 hours trying to master my demo for my songwriters demos class. And my professor did end up seeing that video. And he was like, I'm still grading you harshly. So.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
But
I feel like we have a lot of Belmont students and alum on the show. And I feel like they do such a great job of preparing you for the world of the music business.
I definitely agree. I feel like they are also really sensitive to the fact that a lot of us are like artists, producers, engineers, songwriters, and they kind of, I feel like, appeal to every aspect of the music industry. And so I feel like I get to learn a lot about everybody's jobs. And I think it helps me be a better coworker in the studio, and I get to understand the jargon with producers and with session musicians, and I really think that they do prepare us very well for that.
That's so important too, because if you don't understand what a producer does, and then you're just like, why can't you just do this?
Yeah.
I think it really does make everybody a better teammate if they understand each other's roles.
Yeah,
that's
I agree.
Cool. And also, Belmont students sort of, like, you're not only out in the music industry as a whole, but you sort of create your own little music industry of Belmont students.
Yeah, it's really fun. I've definitely, I've met a lot of really awesome people that I've been able to form connections with, and it's just really nice to know that we're all doing the same thing, and we all just get to support each other's successes and be there for each other. I love going to my friends' shows. I think it's so fun, and I'm such a huge fan of all of them too. So I love it.
And even as young as you are, you've already been doing this for a relatively long time.
Yeah.
You taught yourself to play guitar by ear, is that right?
By ear and by YouTube. I huge Taylor Swift fan, and she played guitar, so I was like, I have to play guitar too. So I would look up YouTube videos on chords and learn all the string names, and I got a formal teacher when I was 10. But yeah, I just fell in love with it.
How many instruments do you play now?
I play guitar, ukulele, a little bit of piano, and I actually play a little bit of violin too. I was in my school's orchestra for like 4 years, so I still pick that up every now and then, but yeah, main instrument's guitar.
I saw you on Instagram with an electronic accordion.
How can I forget?
Is that what that is? An
my
accordion?
Omnichord. Yeah. I guess it is kind of like an electronic accordion. Yeah, I guess it is. I've picked that up too, and it's so much fun to just have different forms of music to mess with. So I've really enjoyed learning that too. Yeah.
Plus, if you ever decide to branch out into polka,
yeah, no, for
you're
real.
Set.
I got all those presets on there.
Did I see that you played your first gig at Bobby's Idol Hour at the age of 11?
Yeah, the original Bobby's Idol Hour. So I think that one closed down a couple years ago during COVID, and there's a new one. But yeah, I played the first one when I was 11.
And for people who don't know, that's a bar on Music Row.
Yeah, it was in a bar.
How was an 11-year-old making those connections?
My guitar teacher at the time, Georgia English, was my guitar teacher and songwriting mentor. And I'd been writing songs since I was like 8. But she really helped me come into myself as a songwriter. And once I started to have like a good set together, she was like, okay, might as well play them. And so she would just book us these shows with like me and some of the other students that she taught, and I'm forever grateful for that, because I felt like it really broke the ice on that and made me realize that this is really what I want to do. Very grateful for that.
And how were the patrons at Bobby's Idol Hour receiving an 11-year-old.
Surprisingly, I thought I was Taylor Swift. Like, I was like, this is my stage. And they were all so supportive. Like, I look back at those videos and I'm like, cringe. I'm like, Mom, how could you let me do that?
But we all start somewhere, right?
They were so nice and so supportive. Yeah, they were great.
I saw that you were featured in a Billboard article recently about how there are more women on the way in country music this year. How cool is that to be in Billboard?
It was very, very exciting. I remember when I think I was sitting in the living room with my mom and she was like, you made a Billboard magazine. And I was like, what? And I just sat there. I was like, what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do. It was so exciting. And the other women in the magazine too are just to be in an article alongside all of these amazing women who I admire so much in the industry. It was just I feel like I keep saying how grateful I am, but I really am. I'm just so grateful. So thankful.
There was a line in the beginning of that article that said, with women suddenly getting equal treatment in the top layers of the country chart. And like, I know what he meant. And like men being men.
Yeah.
Like, we don't hate men here, but also we have to allow for how they perceive things differently than we perceive things. But a couple of women are having a moment in the top 5 or the top 10. That's what he meant. But I'm sure you've had experiences already where you can tell women are still not getting equal treatment in country music. Yeah,
I mean, especially being at Belmont, I mean, this is what I did my third year writing final project on was sexism in the music industry. And I had got to read a lot of studies and articles about it. And I've also lived it. So it's just, there's a constant battle of fighting for a spot that sometimes people just get to walk into. I don't really let it discourage me though, because I've met so many amazing men who have really made it their mission to uplift women. Like, Levi Hammond, who's my label president, like he's just his whole thing is just uplifting women and making sure that us as girls on the label feel safe, feel appreciated, and feel supported. So I'm really grateful for that.
His name's come up a lot in this show, as you can imagine.
Yeah. Starting
so young, I feel like maybe your age probably has made some people treat you differently as well.
Yeah, it is definitely. I do feel kind of weird sometimes when I am so young, and sometimes I get the opportunity to be in rooms with people that are older than me. But I mean, honestly, I just try to take every opportunity I can get and not let bad experiences affect me in that way, just because I understand to an extent how it can feel.
I imagine Taylor Swift went through all of the same stuff when she was starting out.
Yeah.
I saw an interview where you told the story about having been booked at a bar, and then at the last minute they canceled you, and they said it was because they were going 21 and up, but then they booked a 14-year-old with a bigger social following.
I remember that. Yeah, I was so sad. I think I was 14 at the time, and I remember I was so sad, and I didn't understand why I wasn't allowed to play at a venue just because of my age, because I was like, just put X's on my hands, like I don't care. And I've also been kicked out of places after I've played. So I will play a show and they'll be like, and I'll order some fries at the bar and they're like, you can't be here, and I'll be kicked out. So the age thing has definitely became an issue when I was growing up a lot, but it also made me kind of find those venues that did let me play, and I kind of blasted those on my social media, and I was like, if you're under 21, like these are places that welcome you and that you can play at, because it's just important for people to be able to have that outlet.
I love that you not only figured it out for yourself, but then you're also like, hey, let me help other people figure this out too. Yeah,
I mean, I would never I'm not really like a gatekeeper, so I'm always just kind of like, and that's, again, like going back to the Belmont thing, like none of this little friend group that I've made, like we're all just like constantly sending each other like, oh, I found this, and like, just talked to this guy and he got me this opportunity. Like, I feel like you can't really afford to be a gatekeeper just because it's like, you just want to uplift as many people as possible because we're all trying to do the same thing.
We've talked a lot before on the show about how this industry, and not just this industry, but they make you feel like there's only a certain number of spots available for women.
Mm-hmm.
And that's absolutely not true.
Yeah.
And I really feel like the generation that's coming up right now is the one that's completely disregarding that myth.
Yeah.
And just doing their own thing.
Yeah. I definitely am a person who believes that, like, there are never too many people. I mean, especially in the age of social media, like, I follow so many people that are doing so well. And, like, my dad he is one of those people, he knows all of these, like, super small indie bands, and he's just like an encyclopedia of bands, and he's always finding new people. And so I'm like, if the listener can always look for new people, like, I just feel like there's always a space for you.
It feels like when you're just starting out, especially as a woman, there's so much that can work against you. So it's cool that you're pushing back against that.
Yeah.
What keeps you moving forward?
That's a really good question. I just love what I do. I can't imagine myself ever not writing music. And I think that the perspective I have is kind of like, if my whole goal has always been just to be able to financially support myself doing what I love. And so if I get to that point, I've made it in my head. But I feel like even if it didn't work out, I would still be content, just because I love writing songs and I love playing music.
Not everybody knows this, but you actually did American Idol.
I did do American Idol.
Got a golden ticket, went to Hollywood.
I did. Yeah.
They didn't air you, though.
No, they did not.
What did you learn from that experience?
I'm incredibly grateful for that experience. I was like 16 at the time. And I got to learn a lot about, honestly, like, Hollywood and the film industry, because I came into it being like, okay, this is just music. And I learned a lot about media training and interviews and even, like, styling. And I came in as a minor. So when I got to Hollywood Week, we had to do like 6 hours of school every day. And I was like, what? What do you mean I got to do 6 hours of school? And I got to meet so many amazing musicians, and the relationships that came out of that was so fruitful. And I was just trying to make it as far as I could. And so when I got eliminated, I was just kind of like, I'm just so grateful that I got all that I've gained from this. I really did learn so much from it. Yeah.
Because even that is more than, you see those thousands and thousands and thousands of people who show up for those auditions. So even if they didn't air you, the fact that you got that far is such a huge deal.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool.
Who are you fangirling over now in terms of women in country music?
I have to mention Faith Schuler. She's on my 3686 label.
She's been on the show.
I do. I know. And she's just one of the sweetest people I've ever met. And before she was even on the label, I was doing this TikTok live event, Music City Mondays, and she, like, really took me in and, like, welcomed me under her wing and was like, just introduced me to this whole group of people that I had never spoken to ever. I was super new to the 615 house, and I'm incredibly grateful for her. I love Carter Faith, Lacey K. Booth, let me think. Cassie Ashton, really been into her lately. Really been on a Carter Faith grind right now, though. So
that's all like a who's who when we want to get on the show too.
Yeah. I love all of them. There's so many women in the music industry that are just killing it right now.
I saw somewhere that you said you make it a priority to be a good human and a good citizen. Mm-hmm. And I've seen evidence of that already, especially when it comes to music and the generation coming up behind you. Mm-hmm. Are you still involved with Tunes for Kids, or was that just a thing when you were in high school?
I was involved with them for around 5 years. I was super grateful for my time with them. We kind of had just like a natural split. They kind of, we all got older, we all got busy with our stuff, but I'm still a huge advocate for music education. I teach guitar if anyone needs guitar lessons for their student, for their kid. I'm accepting applicants. But
and you were teaching songwriting to kids too, right?
Yeah, I taught third grade guitar and songwriting for a little bit. I did a lot of songwriters workshops, got to work with a lot of amazing organizations through Tunes for Kids. Got to go on the Clay Clarkson show. That was really cool.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got to go on the Clay Clarkson show, and I'm just kind of trying to still be a big music education advocate, especially for, in Nashville, people don't realize how many communities music programs are suffering right now. So, music education is definitely still a big thing in my book.
Excellent. And amid doing all of that, you also have been putting out music for about 5 years now, right?
Yeah.
Your new EP, honestly, just came out.
Yeah.
And you wrote it all by yourself. So is this basically your diary?
Yeah, it basically is.
Tell us about the title track.
Honestly, is a song that I wrote pretty recently. The EP is kind of a collection of songs I've written throughout my life. But it's just kind of a song about when you realize that maybe you are just not right for the other person that you're with, and kind of just working on being honest with yourself, being honest with them. And I think it was kind of a difficult song to write because sometimes I felt like I was highlighting a lot of things that are really hard to say, for myself at least. And I was honestly really surprised by the attention it got on Instagram. I just wasn't expecting so many people to connect with it so deeply. And I also felt like the omnichord being on it really was able to highlight the emotional vulnerability of the lyrics. And I think maybe that's why people connected with it. But I love that song.
One of the other songs that you put out before the release was Salt Mine.
Yeah.
And that's been your most successful streaming song to date. Over 130,000 streams just on Spotify.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
What was the inspiration for it, and why do you think people have connected with that?
I wrote that song when I was 16, and I honestly was just coming into myself as a person and as a songwriter, and I was just thinking about what college I wanted to go to, and I was dealing with a lot of not backlash at school, but nobody really knew I did music. And then when I did American Idol, everyone knew I did music, and I was kind of dealing with like, oh my gosh, like I'm putting myself out there. And I feel like the bridge of that song, like my mind is stuck in spirals. I was just kind of like, what do I do? And I was like talking to my mom, like, I don't know, like, should I do this for a living? And so when Salt Mine came out and it did so well, I was shocked, but I was also so grateful for the fact that someone was connecting with someone that I wrote when I was 16, and it was just so raw. And the fact that it's I can't even fathom that it's at the 130,000 streams right now. Yeah.
I mean, they can't all possibly be your mom, so.
I know. I even have friends at Belmont that are like, oh, so I'm listening to it right now. And I'm like, what do you mean? I can't even think about that. Like my friends even listening to my songs. That's crazy.
You also put out The Sound before the release of the EP. Yeah. And there are some interesting revelations in that. So I do have to ask, is this all a true story?
It is a true story. It is a true story. Yeah. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay. You're going to have to listen to the song. It is on the Girl Crush Country Spotify playlist.
Thank you very
Pandora
much.
Playlist. So you can find out exactly what I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Don't have your first kiss in the foam pit of a trampoline park.
Okay, good advice. Yeah. You heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
That's right. You also have shared some like behind the scenes stuff from your video shoots. How awkward does it feel to make those? I am pretty self-critical, and it's a little awkward for me. I get really in my head. Luckily, I found a really great team. Frank Dorr is my creative director, and he makes me feel really comfortable in the shoots. I have a rule where I don't look at it, so my mom looks at it and my team looks at it, and I just kind of sit back and I'm like, I'm just here. But it's definitely something that I've had to get used to over the years. Because people don't think about the fact that not only are you doing this whatever in front of the camera, you're dancing or you're rolling around on the ground or whatever. Like it's not just that you're doing that, but also there are tons of people around. I know. And everybody's looking at you. Yeah. While you do it. It's definitely scary. And I mean, in the honestly,
visualizer, we're in a 114-degree barn, and I'm like dabbing my sweat every 5 minutes with a paper towel. And so I'm just like, it's to see the end product versus how we got there is like, I'm like, Frank, you're a magician. Like, I don't know how we got this. And the whole team, it's just, yeah.
It's cool that you share that, though, with your fans, because I really feel like fans eat that stuff up. Like, it's cool to see the finished product, but then it's also cool to look behind the curtain and see how that all worked.
Well, I love that stuff, too. I mean, I'm such a nerd when it comes to music, and I love looking at, like, all of the behind the albums and the Genius interviews, and so try to give them a sense of that if I can.
And look, now you're doing that here, too.
I know, yeah.
Ava Claire, you are awesome. It's been great getting to know you. Thank you for coming to Girl Crush Country.
I've had the best time.
I'm so glad. If you love what we're doing, we would love to have you join the mission. You can subscribe to the channel, share the videos, follow us on the socials, wear the merch, and please get the newsletter delivered right to your inbox every week when you sign up at girlcrushcountry.com.